All right, I think I'm live. I'm going back to, I was testing out using StreamYard for a while and decided that I wanted to try going back to Ecamm. And so that's what I'm doing. It says I'm in preview mode. Let's see. Go back to live mode. Okay. I think we're live. Oh, there's somebody who showed up. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know you can hear me okay. Everything's working, all that stuff. Let me find the comments. There's the comments. So if you can hear me, just leave a comment. I'm going to leave a comment in here. All right. So I don't know. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully this is working. We got some people on. I thought I'm going to test out a new thing. Give me a good excuse to go live. And that is I'm going to have a beer. It's Friday afternoon. I titled this this YouTube live today, The Legal Gym, to work out those legal muscles. I went to the actual gym today. I worked out actual muscles. I lifted lots of heavy objects. They're not that heavy for me though. So I thought what I would do today is have a little, it's getting very close to the end of Friday for us here on the East Coast. I thought I would have a beer, answer some of your questions, answer some comments that I haven't answered, and just have some fun with it because I went live last week, had a good time with that, and I think that going live is just a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it, and so anyway, let's hop on. Let's get started here. I'm still not sure I'm doing this the right way. Let me just check my channel. Nobody's commented yet. Let me just see this here. See if this is working. Yes, it looks like I'm live. So good. I'm live. So if people show up, great. If they don't show up, great. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to have a beer and answer some questions. So let's roll with it. Okay. So if you have questions and you want to go ahead and post them in the chat, that's fine too. Go ahead and do that. I will check those out as well. And Kayla says it is working. Thank you, Kayla. I appreciate that. So let me head on over to my studio account page. And I'm just going to organize my desktop a little bit here. Does this work? Oh, that's fun stuff, huh? Okay, cool. Let's go to comments and see what we've got. So I have not looked at any of these ahead of time. I don't know what comments we've got. But I'm just going to kind of hop through some of these and see what questions we have here. So the first question I've got that I see is in reply to a video I posted a while back about using an LLC as a holding company. And Jason Signor, if I'm saying that right, says that in a situation like this, oh, look who's on the live. That was totally not planned like that, by the way. But hey, Jason, I thought I would go ahead and answer your question. So you posted in a situation like this that you talk about in the video, do you need 3 bank accounts, one for the holding company, one for each LLC? So obviously I put a lot of videos on the channel. The video you're referring to is a video that I did, excuse me. Well, when you drink a beer, there might be some gas coming up, so forgive me for that. The video was thinking about forming an LLC as a holding company. 4 things to consider. So your question, Jason, was do you need 3 bank accounts, one for the holding company, one for each LLC. I think it really depends. Yes, that's probably the easiest way to do it, because when you have a holding company that's going to be an LLC, typically the holding company is where all the income is going to flow up to that holding company, right? And so each individual entity that the holding company owns, so you're going to have, if the holding company will be the parent, and then you'll have a number of sub companies underneath it that are owned by that parent company. The income would flow to those sub companies and then would flow up to the holding company. So yeah, yes, you would. That's the way you would do it. You would have a bank account for each individual company. Each company would have its own EIN number, and then at the end of the month or the week or however you want to do it, you would transfer that money up to the parent company, and that's how that would work. Blue Ape says, my question is how to put overseas properties into my family trust. Before I do anything, I want to say that nothing that I say in this video today should be construed to be legal advice. This is not legal advice. It should not take the place of hiring a lawyer for help. This is just me doing a public service, trying to answer some questions that people might have without just practical legal tips, without actually getting into legal advice and guidance. So just an FYI there. So Blue Ape, I'm not sure. Typically, that's going to depend. Overseas properties, I don't know what you're talking about. I assume you mean real estate. You would need to retitle the real estate into the name of the trust, and there's going to be different procedures in different countries about how you would do that. So, next question. Jason again says, that is an OSU mug. Yes, it is. See, it's right there somewhere. Over there. And this black one, this black mug there is actually the law school mug that I got while I was in law school there. Good to see another Buckeye. Yeah, I love that mug. I haven't taken it down because obviously now it's like up on that shelf, and that's probably where it's going to stay for a while. I need to get a new one. Let's see. More questions. I get a lot of people saying just thanks for the advice and guidance, and that's awesome. If you are a trucker, you still can do the miles deducting. I guess you don't need to be a trucker to do that. If you are driving for work, that's not commuter miles, you can go ahead and you can deduct that mileage. Basically, the way that works is you would expense it to your business, and then your business would write you a check. Unless the business owns the vehicle, and then there's a different calculation. Vortex Rising says, this guy is a G. He just saved me $800. Well, awesome. I'm sure Vortex Rising isn't on today, but if you were, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and give that a little love. Let's see. Questions. I just opened a business in Florida as an LLC for an owner-operator truck driver, and this video is helpful. Well, good. Awesome. Glad to hear it. And he's talking, that's Carlos Barrios talking about my single-member LLC mistakes. Someone says, says crypto taxes. Yeah, that's what I say when I see crypto taxes. I say, I don't know. I don't invest in crypto. Maybe I should. I know crypto is like the thing right now, and there's a lot of people who do a lot with crypto. I look at it as gambling. That's my personal opinion. because there's no value to it other than going up and down. Maybe there will be. Maybe I'll look like an idiot in 10 years, the same way people that said, I remember my boss at one of my first jobs said that this is when Amazon first came out, and he's like, they're losing money. Don't invest in that garbage. It's never going to make anything. Well, I think he was since been proven wrong. Hoy Anna V says, love your channel. Awesome. Glad to see that. Looks like you were doing some lifting there. It looks like a lot of weights. I don't do lift that much. Let's see. Okay, so I got another question from Clothing Works. Just so I'm clear, for the mailing in place of business, I use my virtual address. And then for the registered agent address, do I put my home address? I'm my own registered agent. I just really don't want my home address listed anywhere publicly. Also, if I hire a registered agent, does that mean I'm a 2-member LLC? Let's see. Yeah, no value. Good one. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, Clothing Works. Lots of questions here. Let's dive into this. So I'm going to go ahead and post the whole comment here so I can show other people what this is about. Let's see if I can do this. Paste. Oh, it's not letting me paste for some reason. I'm going to try this again. Copy link to highlight. Can I do that? Okay. Well, I can't paste it for some reason. It's not letting me do that, but whatever. All right, so here's the question. For the mailing in place of business, I use my virtual address. Yeah, I would say that would be right. If you're an online business and you don't want people to know your address, then yes, you would use a virtual address. For the registered agent address, do I put my home address? I'm my own registered agent. If you're your own registered agent, yes, you would put your home address or the business address as the address for the registered agent, wherever you're going to be. If you don't have an office somewhere, then yes, you would use your home address. Let's see. It says, I just really don't want my home address listed anywhere publicly. Also, if I hire a registered agent, does that mean I'm a 2-member LLC? No. The registered agent, they're just going to be accepting service of process. They're going to be accepting mail for you that would be like tax notices or lawsuits or subpoenas or legal mail, anything like that that you might need to get would come to the registered agent. Let's see. Jason says, New York State appears to not to allow the use of virtual addresses like a P.O. box with strata addressing. Maybe that's an autocorrect. However, what do you do if you're working from home? No privacy. There's a difference between a virtual address, Jason, and a P.O. box. And so they may not want people to use P.O. boxes, but virtual addresses might be okay. I mean, nobody can stop you from going and renting a virtual office at, Regis or someplace like that, and then listing that as your address. They're not. I mean, they may not want people to say P.O. box and do it that way. And also, there might be a difference between using it as a business address and using it for the registered agent address, because most registered agents, they cannot be a P.O. box. You can't use a P.O. box for that, because you need a place where somebody can accept mail during normal business hours. That's the typical rule, which is why a virtual address, if it's not, you could use the virtual address for your registered agent if you were using an address where somebody is there to get the mail, like a Regis, where they have a receptionist that's there during normal business hours who's going to get the mail, and they're going to accept that mail for you. Then that would be one thing. Now, they might have restrictions and say, well, you can't really use us for a registered agent. I don't know what the restrictions are there, but you typically cannot use a P.O. box for the registered agent. What is a virtual address? So, Jason, let me see here. What is a virtual address? So a virtual address is basically an address that's not like where you're at. So if I worked from home and did not have this, fancy smancy office behind me, then I could use a virtual address. I could go to, there's lots of services like Earth Class Mail or, the UPS store or mailbox, etc., or someplace like that, or like I said, a Regus or an office suite somewhere, and you could actually, pay them a monthly fee. It's usually, anywhere from maybe $50 to $100 to a couple $100 a month to use their address for your business, and then they have that location staffed. Sometimes you can rent conference room space or offices like day suites if you need to go in for a day and do some work. Different things like that. Sometimes they have mail forwarding and different services they offer. That's a virtual address. It's where you're not going to be on a day-to-day basis. Do you see any big implications for small businesses with Biden increasing the IRS budget by $80 billion? No. I think that no, I don't see any major implications for small businesses. I think that people who are breaking the law, there's probably an increased likelihood that they're going to get caught or audited. That the audit risk is certainly going to go up. But I'm aware that he raised the budget for the IRS. I'm not sure how that money is being allocated. If they're using it for to hire more audit agents, or they're doing it to just help process tax returns faster. Because I sent a tax payment last fall, probably in like October, September, October, and they didn't actually cash my check until like January. And I was calling them in November because they're sending me more notices, like, hey, your tax payment's late. Well, it's like I sent that to you, and then they told me that they're like eight weeks behind in cashing checks. So maybe they just need more staff. The Trump administration, gut their budget so much. So when you say they increase their budget, it might just be they're getting back to normal. So no, I'm not worried about that. Nathan says, I just started a single member LLC. Do I need to pay taxes quarterly, or are there exceptions? Well, I guess that depends if you're making money or not. If you are, earning money, significant amount of money, you should be paying quarterly taxes. That would absolutely be correct. But if you're still running at a loss and you're not making money yet with your business, then I wouldn't worry about it as much. But it really depends on how much money you're making. Let's see. All right. So I got another question here that says, so when getting my LLC, do I put a lot of questions about these virtual addresses? Let me see here. I need to make this screen a little bit smaller. Actually, if I put this over here, there we go. That'll make it easier. Okay. So when getting my LLC, do I put my virtual address for the... yeah, I think I already answered that question. The winter clause, Santa Claus. Oh, yeah, I forgot that one. Let's see. Okay. This is a good question. Justin Milner says, doesn't having an LLC protect your business name from others using it in your state? I feel like this is important to consider. So I think the answer there is it depends. And the reason why I say it depends is because if they're operating as a sole proprietorship and they haven't registered or they haven't filed a name reservation, then it's very possible that that's not going to have any effect at all. Anybody can just open up any business and do anything. If they're registering it and they're trying to reserve a name, then yes, technically they're going to be prohibited from using the exact same name as you with their LLC. But if they change the name a little bit, then they might be able to get around those rules. And so this is where there's a difference between the LLC, the state registration for LLCs and trademark law, right? So with trademark, if the name is deceptively similar to your name, then the trademark attorney will likely not allow it. They'll say it's too similar to another name, and those names, they can actually be quite different. One name from the other, they can actually be very different, and the trademark office can still reject a name for being deceptively similar. With the state LLC, it's almost like they're just doing just a knockout search. They're just typing the exact same name, and if there's something that's exactly the same, then it'll be rejected. But if it's similar but it's not exactly the same, maybe there's just a small nuanced difference, then it might still be okay to get through. All right, let's see. Dewan Sutton says, can you change your annual salary, and how often can you do it if you can? Yeah, you can change your salary whenever you want. You can... Yes, yeah, you can change your salary whenever you want. That depends on how your business gets paid. So that's fine. Must I pay an occupational tax as I operate my small business from my garage? I'm an LLC. Denver government has told me repeatedly that no business license is needed in that case, but a monthly occupational tax is needed to be compliant. This is the difference between various business types, I guess, or professions. There's some professions that require a use tax or a privilege license or something like that. And as an occupational therapist, you may have special requirements in Denver that you have to pay special taxes. That has nothing to do with the fact that you're operating out of your garage. What's your personal opinion regarding the global tax reform? Do you think corporations will comply, or will they base their headquarters in a non-G20 country? Money always moves to the path of least resistance. No, I guess I'm not sure what you're talking about, and I mean, I think corporations are always going to go and take advantage of any type of tax rulings that are out there. They're going to maximize the law to their advantage. That's why they have lobbyists that are in Congress trying to get Congress to do things. I mean, they've got way more people looking at these things than you can possibly imagine. I don't, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It depends on the corporation, I guess. Ariana says, I am a freelancer. I just did my taxes yesterday. Late, I know, that's no problem. The tax guy said I can only deduct mileage or gas or depreciation of vehicle. I thought I could do gas and mileage, which is best. I honestly don't know. I'm not a CPA, Ariana. There is an entire... I don't know. And the other thing I will say is I don't know if you used a paid tax preparer or if you used like an H&R Block type of service, or if you actually used an accountant. An accountant will be able to know what you should or shouldn't do, and they should be able to calculate various scenarios for you and tell you what's going to be best in your situation. I think that the tax guy you used is probably correct in what they said. That sounds right. But honestly, I don't know. Don't know enough about tax depreciation of vehicles. That's actually a really, really complicated thing. And to be honest with you, so interesting story. Back in December of 2019, I purchased a vehicle for the business with the assumption that we'd be driving around a lot. I'd be driving to meet with referral sources. I'd be driving to go to court. I'd be driving to, go to mediations and do all sorts of things. And then, well, we all know what happened a couple months later, and I basically didn't drive the vehicle at all. And so my accountant just actually told me to buy the vehicle back from the business, which I'm in the process of doing right now, to put it back in my personal name because I'm just not driving enough for work because everything's virtual and don't need to do that anymore. Mr. Keyframe says, if you have a SEP IRA, is that enough, or do you recommend a solo 401k? I think that depends on your situation. So a SEP IRA will work for people who, I think with both of them, you can contribute up to, if I'm not mistaken, it's around $55,000 per year. But there are reasons to use one and not the other. So I have both. For many years, I was using a SEP IRA. Last year, and I can't remember why I did it, but I did all the analysis and figured out why it was better to do it that way. I actually opened up a solo 401k. And I think part of the reason is I wanted the flexibility of maybe taking a loan against it. And there were other reasons. I ended up opening one with TD Ameritrade, but I did do a lot of research before I did it. If you have employees, obviously you can't set up a solo 401k. And a SEP IRA, I think that you can have employees with that. And so that's the difference. That might be the only difference. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. But I think that the amount that you can contribute to both is the same. Should you consider getting a DMCA designated agent for your online business that sells products such as artwork? Well, let's talk about the DMCA designated agent and what that means, Sean. So a DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, is set up to provide a safe harbor for businesses that comply with the act. And basically what that means is for businesses like YouTube is a great example because YouTube's probably one of the most famous where entities or online businesses where this comes into play quite a bit. This is how people get a copyright strike. So if you post material to your YouTube channel that is infringing on somebody else's videos or work or music, and you don't have a valid reason to do that, like it's not fair use, it's just, maybe you just decided you like some music and you put it on your channel and you're infringing. If the rights holder of that music then goes ahead and issues a DMCA takedown to YouTube, then you have to respond, and you either have to take down the video or YouTube will take down the video. I talked about this last week. YouTube will take down the video, and then you have an opportunity to either respond or delete the video or whatever. Or you can file a counter response. But the agent is the individual who would receive those complaints and then take action on that. So if you, to be in compliance with the law, you have to have an agent. And so it's not a very expensive thing to hire somebody to do. I serve as a DMCA agent for a number of different online businesses that use me. and it's a minimal fee. It's like $100 a year or something for me to do that. So I mean, if you're selling products such as artwork, I guess it really depends on if other people are posting products to your page that might be infringing on somebody's copyright, or if even you might be infringing on somebody's copyright without knowing it, then you might want to have a DMCA agent. Let's see. Michelle says, my current business lease is in my name. After viewing channel, I have to decide. I'm not sure what the question is, but I think where you're going with this is, do you need to put it into your business name? Well, I guess what really depends on, do you have an LLC set up? If you have an LLC set up, you absolutely would want to change for that business lease into the LLC's name. You need to get your landlord on board with that. Boy, Mr. Keyframes, you're just touching on every single subject. We've gone from Bitcoin to SEP IRAs to family court now. Okay, family court. I'm going through a family court, so you must be going through a divorce. They liquidated my brokerage account with Fidelity. Isn't IRA and retirement protected, or is that also fair game? I'm worried they're going to touch my retirement. A brokerage account is typically not a retirement account, so that's not protected. IRA and retirement, in my experience, and I've done a lot of family court over the years, is protected. However, that doesn't mean that the court can't order you to transfer a portion of that to your spouse if that's what's going on with you, or could look at that as assets that are available to you if you need to pay like child support or something. I don't know what your situation is though. Generic says, in an S Corp, can you pay yourself once a year, avoiding having to do so monthly and not having to hire a payroll company? Yes. And the short answer is yes. You can do all of those things. You can pay yourself once a year. I would, if you don't want to hire a payroll company, that's fine. I would definitely have a bookkeeper or someone else do it, though. It's complicated, and there's lots of forms that need to be filed. There's quarterly tax returns that need to be filed. There's 1040s and not 1040s, W-2s and things of that sort. So, I mean, I've always had a payroll company. I think that's the best way to do it, but that's up to you. What about Jason? What about book sales? Can money from book sales from Amazon go into an LLC regardless of the purpose of the LLC? This past year I wrote a book, so I'm wondering. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they can. What you need to do there with Amazon is make sure that you've got your EIN number set up correctly with Amazon, so they're reporting the income to the right place. All right, we're getting down to the end of the bottle. But yes, you can. I mean, if the LLC, I mean, the thing is, you've got to think also about what's the purpose of the LLC. Like, why do you have the LLC? Is it for some other business that's completely unrelated, or what are you doing there? I'm not sure what. I mean, yeah, yes, you can, but is that the right thing to do? I'm not sure. Sigma 6 for IT outsourcing company in Wyoming, and I am a non-U.S. resident. If I have clients in the USA, then do I need to pay income tax on income I am generating through providing services to U.S. clients? I'm a non-U.S. resident. There's actually a form for LLCs to file that you're going to need to report. If you've got income in the United States, then you're probably going to have to pay income tax on that. And hold on a second. I will actually tell you what that form is. If you give me a second. Because previously, the only way for your LLC to declare income would be through a 1040, but they changed that in 2018. It's IRS Form 5472, I think. Let me see. Is what you would need to file. I think that's right. Yeah, I think it's IRS Form 5472. I'll put that in the comments. Now, this is for a corporation. I don't know if corporation means LLC as well, but you'd have to report that income. I think that's, I don't think you get around that. Okay. Mr. Keyframe says global minimum tax. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Global minimum tax. Tax is based on, there's no worldwide government, so I don't see a global tax. Tax is based on a country level. I mean, there could be exceptions to that, like the EU is kind of, they've got individual member states. They're a little bit different, but even there, taxes are on a nationwide basis. So if you're in Spain, you're going to pay a different tax than you're going to pay if you're in Germany. And obviously the UK is different now too. Chris K., how long can I get away without paying tax? Until you file your tax return. And if you don't file your tax return, then you're going to have problems, because if you owed taxes and you didn't file your tax returns, then that's criminal. So, I started a vending biz. Do I have to report my earnings every quarter? No, you don't have to report your earnings, but you may have to pay estimated taxes. Let's see. Excited Solution has copyright questions with YouTube. Awesome. Go ahead and ask away. Michelle says, what's the best way to convince the company holding the lease to transfer the lease into my LLC name? The company is not friendly. They want to raise the rent and create a new lease. Well, that's a good time to do it then, I would say. Or maybe for you to get out of the lease and find another place. Is it better to pay tax and fudge numbers? No, that's not better. That's lying on your tax return. So, no. Congress needs to whatever Congress has, Mr. Keyframes, with all due respect, Congress has they can pass taxes that affect the United States. They can't pass taxes that are going to affect taxes, not Texas. They can't pass taxes that are going to affect people in Asia or Europe or South America or wherever. They can't do any global minimum tax. The issue there is there could be a treaty, and that doesn't happen through the Congress. That gets ratified by the Senate. I don't see the Senate in its current form ratifying any treaty that would impose any additional taxes on Americans through a global network of countries. I don't see that happening. Is there a way to get around public domain music? Classical music written over 100 years ago and is in public domain, but YouTube flags a violation because the music was recorded. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to. Clearly, there's going to be a copyright holder. See, the thing is, with copyright, you can have something that's in the public domain, but then somebody can re-record that music, maybe change it a little bit, and then they could potentially own the copyright to that. So, I don't know the answer to that question. That doesn't sound like a fair use issue. It sounds like you're using something that maybe is in the public domain, but somebody's claiming ownership. That's a different issue. By a record company 30 years ago is still under copyright. The music on YouTube in question is not that recording from 30 years ago, but is an independent recording that is not under copyright. That doesn't matter. An independent recording that is the same recording of some. What's copyrighted is the music. So like the sheet music. So if somebody plays it on a piano, or even, I think Mr. Beast did this maybe a while back. They did a video and they were singing the tunes to some song in the background. Their friends were, and that got flagged for copyright violation. Just because his friends in the background were singing while they were doing something in the video. So yeah, that doesn't matter that it's not the original recording. Jason says, in one video, I'm assuming he, you mean me, recommended not setting up an LLC outside of the state one lives in. Why not? If it saves money in LLC registration fees. Because it doesn't actually save money on LLC registration fees, Jason. Because if you live in, I don't know where you live, but let's say you live in Ohio, because you're a Buckeye, but you file an LLC in Wyoming, but you're doing business in Ohio, well, then you'd need to file a foreign registration in Ohio to do business in Ohio as that LLC. So you're actually paying fees to 2 states instead of 1 state by not filing just in the state where you live. So there's no way to get around it. The only people that really, or LLCs that really need to be filing in a state other than where they are LLCs that are really national in scope, like franchises, national businesses. Because what's going on with them is they might be filing in Delaware, for example, because Delaware is a very common place for corporations to file. Because of the established rules and procedures there, and it's very easy for businesses to do business in Delaware. But they also might, they in all likelihood, they have a separate filing in the state where every single office where they're operating is located. So a small little online business is not going to be in the same situation. Chris, you really don't want to pay your taxes, man. How long can one go without filing? There's a statute of limitations, but eventually it's gonna catch up to you. So, I don't recommend it. Unless you want to renounce your citizenship, pay all taxes owed, and move to another country, you can do that. Then you don't have to pay anymore. But that's it. I disagree that you can't fight YouTube. I completely disagree with that. Watch my live video from last week. I did a presentation at the very beginning that talked about kind of the plans I have for the channel and what I'm looking to do. But yeah, you can fight them. It's not. And the other thing I will say is it's not about fighting YouTube. It's about fighting the rights holder for the copyright. YouTube, it just facilitates the dispute resolution, right? So if somebody claims one of your videos then through the Content ID system, then you can file a response to that. They can deny your claim and then file another response, and then file a counterclaim, and then eventually it gets appealed. They can issue a takedown, and then you can file a counter notification of the takedown, and then they have a choice to either sue you in federal court or YouTube puts the video back up. So there is a process, and that's what I talked about in last week's video. I've been running a business under the table for 10 years. Listen, Chris, all due respect, this channel is not about trying to evade taxes. I will help people minimize their tax liability through legal means, but you're telling me on YouTube, which is about the stupidest thing you can do, that you've been evading paying your taxes for the past 10 years. If an IRS agent is watching this video right now and they see you doing that, you're going to be a sitting duck. So just stop posting those comments. And along those lines, taxation is not theft. So all right, don't have to worry about Chris anymore. Sorry, Chris, but it's not the forum to talk about not paying taxes. Let's see. Sigma 6 says, do I need to pay income tax if I provide IT services to U.S. clients? I don't know. I'm not going to answer that question. Listen, you guys, here's Here's the deal. These lives, I said this at the beginning, I'm not going to answer legal questions here. This is, you just, Sigma 6 asked and I apologize. I'm a little hot because of Chris just asking me repeatedly how to avoid paying taxes illegally, which, as I'm a lawyer, what do you think I'm going to say? So I'm not answering any more questions about whether or not you need to pay taxes or not. You need to follow the rules and do what you're supposed to do. Okay, Jason, what do you do if you move to a new state? Do you have to shut down your LLC and reopen a new state, or is there some way to transfer it? Yeah, that's typically what happens. If you move to a new state, unless you're still operating in the old state, then typically what people do is they will file a final tax return and round up all their obligations in the old state. They will dissolve that LLC or file a dissolution of that LLC. And then they will go ahead and set up a new LLC in the new state and then start everything over from scratch. That's basically what it was. Yes, I do agree with you there, Mr. Keyframes. Difference between tax evasion and tax minimization. Unfortunately, Chris seems to be trying to do tax evasion, and I'm not going to deal with that. Michelle, I like the current rent price. Don't want to increase the rent. This economy is too crazy. I don't want to extend the current lease if I don't have to. Thanks for answering my question. You're welcome. You're welcome. I get it. I'm surprised they'd be trying to increase your rent price right now. I mean, over everything that's happened in the past year, I get that that there are. I mean, just what I see personally. People are working remote now more than ever, right? They're working remote. They're working from home. I tell you what, one business I would not want to be in right now is commercial real estate, especially for professional offices, because so many people are working from home. So I'm surprised you don't have a little bit more leverage to try and negotiate that, but, what do I know? Yeah, under the table, huge risk. Yes, you're right. Absolutely right, Jason. So, let's see. Let me see if I got any other questions here in the comments. I'm going to reply to somebody here that posted a little comment. Let's see. Somebody's asking me where to find a good operating agreement. I'm going to post that they can go to my template store. So people know about that. I do have a template store. That's something that I get asked for quite regularly, is legal templates. And so I have a template store. Let's see. A trade. I'm getting a question about a trade line. A trade line means that you're an authorized user of someone else's credit card. I don't know what that means. Oh. Sorry, that was a spam comment. We're going to go ahead and flag this person. Just an FYI, if you ever try to post comments on my my videos, I will report you and remove you if you're posting spammy comments. So sorry. I'm going to, and it also kind of sucks because I'm going through comments trying to find comments to answer, and I'm seeing these spam comments. So all right, let's see, what other comments? Anybody have any comments here they want to talk about? My audio, sorry, it's because I'm talking like this as opposed to like this. this the way this is set up, my microphone only goes like to here, and I need to talk this way, so that doesn't work. Anyway, what other questions do people have? I'm going through the comments right now on the channel, and I'm seeing all right. I'm not seeing any comments coming in, and I'm not very good at continuing to talk. Thank you. It's one of the Samsungs. It's a pretty decent mic. Let's see. When does the business legally start? Which business? Beans for Brains? You must be an accountant. I watched your copyright video last week and wanted to know how your use of the 4 clips you inserted for effect comedy were fair use as defined by how you laid out what fair use is. I'm not sure which video you watched, but so I can't really. They were probably transformative. That's the main factor that most of them are. There's 4 factors that goes into a copyright analysis, and without knowing exactly what you're talking about right there, I can't really respond to that. Excited Solutions, I'm sorry, but probably. Usually if I put a clip in a video, it's a very short clip, and it's kind of a play on words or a pun or something where somebody's responding to something that I said in the video from a clip that I found. I don't do it very often. I like doing it. I don't do it very often. I think it's a very low risk thing to do on YouTube because just in general, by its very nature, you're using a short portion of a video. It's clearly transformative. There's not any commercial impact on the original video. Nobody's watching my video to try and make up whatever clip I was in for that movie. So from that standpoint, it's clearly fair use. But it also takes a lot of work to find those videos and find videos that are appropriate and that make sense for the video that you're doing. So I haven't done as many of them, even though maybe I should do more. If people like them, maybe I should. They are increasing their business. Yeah, I mean, Michelle, that's what I said. So maybe it's time to find another space. I don't know. I don't know when your lease is up, but that might be. Also, make sure you check your lease because if there could be a notice clause in there, and if it's a big commercial company that doesn't want to negotiate, then they might not. I mean, they may not. They're going to enforce their contract, so make sure you check that. Let's see. Rachel says, I'm about to start YouTube. Should I make a business account? Yeah, as a sole proprietor, you could. I mean, that would make sense. Depends on how much money you're investing into the channel. Depends on how much money the channel is going to make you. Depends on a lot of things related to your business plan. I always think you should start with, when you're ready, set up an LLC. If you have the money to invest, set up an LLC and operate it as a business. I think when you operate it as a business, when you're taking it seriously, it means other people are going to take you seriously too. Generic says, when you sign up for online services, for business purposes, do you use your personal name or the name of your LLC? It depends on the service. It depends on if they ask me if I'm doing business as a business or doing business personally. Oftentimes they're just asking who am I to sign up, and I sign up under my personal name typically, but I pay for it with the business. So, I mean, yeah, I would recommend that. I definitely would recommend that, Rachel. Her question is, should I make a business account to receive income from YouTube? Even if you're not an LLC yet, you can still set up an EIN number and set up a business account and operate as a business. That's fine. There's not going to be any liability protection in that situation, but you definitely can do that. Let's see. Let's see what other questions. Thanks, will do. You're welcome. All right, so I've got a good question from Ariel Dancer. Says, business owner in the state of Arkansas here. I have two questions. My first one is, do I need articles of organization before I open up my business bank account? Also, if I start as a home business, will I need a permit to see clients in my home? So let's start with the first one. Do I need articles of organization before I open up my business bank account? Yes, you do, because you need to technically set up your you need to get your EIN number before you set up your business bank account, and you can only get your EIN number after you have set up the articles of organization, if that makes sense. And the reason for that, the reason why you need to do it that way is because you want to make sure that, so if you register your name as the LLC and for some reason it gets denied, you want to set that up before you file your EIN number, because if the name gets denied for some reason and then you've already set up your EIN, then you have to retract that EIN number and apply for a new one that is going to have the same name. Anyway, the other question is, if I start as a home business, will I need a permit to see clients in my home? I guess it depends on what type of business you're doing. You also probably want to make sure you have insurance in place if you're seeing clients in your home. For anyone who's thinking about seeing clients in your home, I wouldn't. I would get a virtual space somewhere and see clients at a virtual space. I mean, there's always, I've met with vendors in their home a while back. I didn't think it was very professional personally. I didn't like it. I mean, I'm a dog person, but I can still smell that person's house in my from going there, because they had dogs, and the smells and all the stuff that, that it just I'd be very careful about that. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Jason says, you mentioned in one video that you have a list of bank accounts that are friendly to opening multiple accounts for the plan you talked about. If the plan is Profit First, or the book is Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Great book. Let's see. Dana says, if I have two businesses and I got an EIN for the first one, can I use the same EIN for the second business? If they're two separate businesses with two separate LLCs, then no, you can't do that. Brains for Beans says, I think you missed me. Did I? Let me see. Oh. I started a business last year, but no sales yet. When I filed my taxes, seems like I should not have business until ready to open the doors. Okay. I'm not sure what the question is, but okay. Yes, correct, Jason. Only one EIN per LLC. Profit First, the book by Mike Michalowicz. That's absolutely right. So we're coming up on the hour. I am going to be jumping off here in the next few minutes. Happy hour time is done. Time to do a little bit more work before the end of the day. But I hope that all of you have a great week. I will be in Florida next week. I'll still be posting the video on Tuesday like I always do, but I will be out of the I will be in Florida and enjoying some much needed rest and relaxation with my family, which I'm really looking forward to. In terms of what's going on with me, what's going on, I'll wrap up real quick just by sharing this. Right now, we are working on an LLC startup course that you can find more information at. Let's see, I'll put it in the chat. It's hawthornelaw.startup, and that's an LLC course. I'm putting in there a 50-state database of everything you need to set up your LLC. There's a video on how to get your EIN. There's instructional videos on how to set up your LLC. And then as a special bonus, we include an operating agreement template, which normally is $49 on my website. We include a privacy policy and website terms of service, which is $500 on my website. And there's some other bonuses in there as well. I can't remember what, but I'm still building this course out, which is why I'm giving a super low discounted rate for people that sign up now before I finish building it out. I imagine it'll be done and I'll have it built out by the end of July. So very limited time. If you're interested in that, go check out the link at hawthornelaw.net/startup. There's a link right there. And if you're thinking about setting up your LLC, this is going to be a great course for you to get set up. Even people who do their LLC through services like LegalZoom or InkFile or Northwest or all those different companies could still benefit from this, because a lot of times they ask the questions, but they don't give you a lot of guidance in terms of the nuances of what you need to do to set up the right way. And this course includes all of that. In addition, I have a super crazy bonus with the course that if you get in the course, you try it and it doesn't work for you, and you decide you need to go and use one of those services, then if you do use one of those services, I'll just credit back the fee to you if you use one of those services, if you send me a receipt. So really nothing to lose by investing in that course. Check that out if you're interested, if you're still learning how to set up an LLC. A lot of people have asked me about my Lock It Down Legal Protection Plan and the program that I offer, and I just wrapped up a launch of that, a special holiday launch earlier this week. I don't know when we're going to be reopening that, but what I will tell you is that program is moving to a subscription model, and so which means that I'm no longer offering it as for lifetime access for a certain price. It's a monthly course, and but that includes group calls and my template library, and also there's all sorts of stuff that's in there. It's a great value as well. Sigma Sec says, I have a 2-year-old website and want to start using it for my newly registered LLC. How can I go for it, and are there any legal registrations required? I'm not. You need to transfer everything into the name of the new business, I guess, and that usually would happen through the registration process of setting it up with whoever you register the domain with. You're going to register it as the new business. That's the way that works. So that's it for this Friday. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. This was fun. I'll try and do it again next Friday. I don't remember when our plane leaves Florida. I don't think we leave until maybe Sunday, so I should have time on Friday to do another one of these. I'll probably have a Mai Tai or something in my hands next week, but this is fun. So this has been the Legal Gym. Thank you for working out your legal muscles with me, and we will talk again very soon. Have a great week, folks. Take care.